This might be a first blooper thing, it might not, but on the back of Go-Go Power Rangers issue number 3, there's an ad for a Boom crossover comic, which is actually an incredibly genius idea for a crossover, King Kong and Planet of the Apes. It's called Kong on the Planet of the Apes. But what actually just drew me to it is not the art, not the image of an ape soldier with a gun on a horse in front of Kong, in front of the Statue of Liberty. It's this tagline up here. Damn. Dirty. Just found that funny. I don't even know if I'll use that. All right. Hello there, heroes. I'm the Orange Ranger, and welcome to another comically long review. Sometimes when you spot even like a tiny little crack in like a glass table, you need to trace the crack back to its source and see how damaged it is at that initial shattering point. Yeah, that analogy doesn't exactly work, but I needed some kind of explanation for what I'm doing here today. I know, trust me, that some of you are really frustrated that these reviews finally made it to Mighty Morphin Power Rangers issue number 25, Shattered Grid, and then I've paused things there. But I think even you could admit that if you've read this story completely, it's just the best. It just makes the most sense with all of the available context. So I just couldn't go forward into Shattered Grid without catching Go-Go Power Rangers up so we could enter the reviews of those event issues with all of the available context, seeing both sides of the story at once. But yes, I only need to catch this up to the Shattered Grid event itself. I don't need to catch all the way up. I want to enter the event at an even Shattered Grid point, go through that together, and then I'll catch up. So, I only need to review the first 8 issues of Go-Go Power Rangers before we jump into Shattered Grid. That's only going to take me like 3 videos. That being said, let's take a look at Go-Go Power Rangers, issues number 1, 2, and 3. I can't find a ton of background on why Go-Go Power Rangers was commissioned, but it's not a big stretch to think. Besides the general success of MMPR nostalgia right now, the main was doing well, they'd done a 6-issue mini that also did well, and despite the Power Rangers Justice League crossover running into some trouble, overall buzz for the Boom Power Rangers comics was high. Ryan Parrott, the lead writer for the series, told Boom in an interview that the series would focus more on the Rangers' day-to-day lives, filling in some story gaps. Well, if you love the original Rangers, you can look forward to learning a lot more about them. We're going to jump around in time and answer questions I've always had, but that the series and comics really haven't had the time to answer. Simple things like, how did the Rangers meet? Were there always just 5 of them? What actually happens when they morph? What is their home life like? Stuff like that. The goal of Go-Go is to tell intimate, grounded stories about these characters and show just how they evolved into heroes. What did I say last week? The debut of something new in these comics means start designing covers and do not stop. Go-Go Power Rangers number 1 has 17 covers. These 2 are part of the San Diego Comic-Con X-Men tribute connecting cover that I mentioned during Mighty Morphin 17. I got this interesting paper doll variant, Jason with his Ranger costume and various arms, and I just wonder if, no, not if, how many people bought another copy just to cut the covers off and actually make the thing. For the record, the covers of these issues are actually thicker, more like cardboard, which makes them good for paper dolls. The main cover is pretty good. The 5 unmorphed Rangers in front of the cityscape, morphed forms above them, and a stylized Megazord above that. It actually kind of reminds me of the Retrofire Megazord figure line. It's nice. Oh, and I have to mention this cover. Let me zoom it out a little. Yeah, it's blank. Draw your own. The start is a little hard to recap, so I'm just going to sum it up generally. It's the Rangers, just after their first battle with Goldar, going back over things as we see the action recapped in frames. The main highlight is that Trini named the saber-toothed Tiger Zord Kittysaurus, and Billy points out that he's pretty sure she's named them all. The name is pretty hilarious considering that the upcoming Sentai, Ryusoulger, is getting around having a saber-toothed tiger in their dinosaur Sentai by calling it a Tigersaurus. Jason is stoic, knowing the fight has been won, but the war has only just begun. And then it's time for a flashback. Get used to these, by the way. GGPR's storytelling style involves a lot of jumping back and forth, filling in some backstory, and then showing us why it's significant. I will say that most of the time I think it works, but sometimes it does smack of, look, this thing that just happened is meaningful because of this thing you've never heard of that happened 5 years ago that you're seeing the first hints of here. So, meaning! This one is back 3 months before Arrival Day, which is the series' main time anchor point. Jason is working out in the juice bar early in the morning, and we get a little profile on him. Likes brunettes and karate, dislikes beats and bullies. Ernie comes in and wonders what Jason is doing. He doesn't understand why Jason, such a handsome and polite young man, is constantly training to fight. Jason tells a story about a camp he went to, and another camper spent 3 weeks making a bow and arrow, but when he took it to the shooting range, an older kid took it and broke it. Ernie tells Jason that he was just a little kid and couldn't have stopped that. But he misunderstood. Jason was the older kid that broke it, and now disciplines himself via karate so he never does something like that again. We stay 3 months ago, now getting to meet Zach, who is walking in with Matt, a character you might remember being mentioned over in the main series as Kimberly's ex. Yeah, stay tuned on that. Zach, despite being a 15-year-old freshman, is the big man on campus as we see him chat up some fellow students, joke with the teachers, maybe, and get hit on by girls. Zach likes EDM and dislikes avocados. 2 for 1 this time as we meet 15-year-old Trini and 14-year-old Billy. Trini has a crush on someone and Billy is encouraging her to tell him, but she's scared of being humiliated. Billy likes computers, of course, but also French press coffee and dislikes dancing, fish, and the beach, which all fit the show. Trini likes toasted marshmallows, mason jars, and lists, and dislikes heights, check, Velcro, and the Oxford comma. And yes, if you check, Billy's list uses an Oxford comma, while Trini's does not. Billy starts to get super geeky in giving her advice, and then gets smacked upside the head with a water balloon. Yes, it's time to meet 2 other characters.
Oh no, look who's here. Bulk and Skull.
Over in MMPR, I mentioned that Bulk and Skull aren't really bullies, just kind of annoying. Yeah, scratch that here, they are bullying jerks that still need to grow up. They get inside and the others are sympathetic, Matt even offering the football team's services in dealing with Bulk, but Billy is the bigger man. He still gives Billy his hat, and we get a bio on Matt too, showing that he's going to be a rather important character in this story. 16 years old, likes football and bubble wrap, dislikes orange juice after milk, yuck, and the color turquoise. Well, here's hoping Zordon doesn't make him the Turquoise Ranger. Back to now, Arrival Day. Rita and her staff settle in on the moon. They're ready to get right back to work, but Rita says she won't attack blindly again, especially since she's got 2 Nasada astronauts right there to give her info on Earth. Yeah, the show kind of forgot that these 2 existed. I think they ran away. But here, she's got them captured and plans to learn much from them. Back on Earth, the Rangers are meeting, though Kim hasn't shown up yet. They talk about what's going on and what they should do. The city's in shock after this kind of event, and cleanup is ongoing. Zach says they could morph and go help, but Jason is concerned about their identities getting out. Soldiers and reporters are all over Angel Grove looking for the Rangers. I really like how Bulk is being interviewed here. You can just sort of see that hatching the idea in his head. People like watching people who have information about the Power Rangers. The Rangers start to realize the issues with meeting as superheroes, mainly that since monsters are attacking the world, their parents are freaking out and constantly want to know where they are. Jason gets a call on what Zach calls a space phone, the first version of the communicators, I guess, and he's told to get the team to the command center on the double. He asks someone to text Kim, and we see where she is, on a date with Matt. Matt has taken her to Lookout Point, or whatever they call it in Angel Grove. Kinda reminds me of the spot where Kim went diving in the 2017 movie. She knows it's a makeout spot, and yeah, that's part of why Matt brought her here, but basically says they've been dating for 97 days and he'd like it if they were a little more official, going steady if you will. She leans in to kiss him, and her phone explodes. It's Trini, and for some reason I love the text shorthand here. Stop kissing. Z called. Need ASAP. Sorry. Matt is frustrated but understanding, offering to get her home. But then for some reason she says that they don't have to leave right that second. Zordon just called you. I get it's your first day of being a superhero, but yeah, you need to have left about 5 seconds ago. Oh, by the way, Kim is 15, likes green olives, ugh, and dislikes escalators and lilies. Okay. Zordon tells the Rangers about Rita having the astronauts. What I love about this is he puts that out there as Rita getting information from them and planning another attack, but Jason hears that she has the astronauts and goes, "What? We have to save them." Zordon, quite possibly thinking of what happened the last time he sent a brand new team of Rangers to the moon, MMPR issue 20, 3 of them died, says they can't do that, the palace will be far too well guarded, but Jason says they can do this. Trini calls her mom, claiming a late-running lab project. Kim texts Matt and basically says the same, studying ran long, etc., etc. Billy tries to beg out of this, but Zach tells him he'll be fine, and the Rangers morph. I know I did this for MMPR number 0, but this is a new series, and the page just begs for it. So...
Mastodon!
Pterodactyl!
Triceratops!
Saber-tooth tiger!
Tyrannosaurus!
The Rangers teleport to the moon and quickly find the palace. Some of you might have noticed last week when I did the cover that had the broken Moon Palace sign that I said Bandra Palace despite the sign saying Bandora. Know why I said Bandra Palace? Look at this sign. There is no O in that word. Kim stares at the Earth and wishes that she could share any of this with Matt, but Jason says that not telling him is protecting him, right? Then she spots a huge wave of putties.
Whatever, babies!
No, putties. Anyway, Jason clears a path to the sign that still very clearly says Bandra Palace. The putties give chase, and Billy points out that the stealth approach is kind of out the door, so Jason tells the team to go find the astronauts while he holds off the putties. Zach has confidence in him, saying he can hold off twice that many. They didn't have to look hard as they immediately find the astronauts guarded by Goldar. Billy and Zach handle the brass monkey well enough.
Brass monkey! That funky monkey!
While the girls get the astronauts free. But then Trini notices that the palace seems to be shifting around them. They also realize that Jason isn't where he should be, because Jason's gone all stoic leader and decided to take Rita down all by himself. The other Rangers try to find their way out, and then Jason comes flying through a wall. Rita tells the Rangers she's been listening, so now she knows each of their names, and just wanted to make a proper introduction. My name is Rita Repulsa, and you have all made a terrible mistake. I'm going to make something of an admission. When I first started hearing about Go-Go Power Rangers being talked about and what it was going to be, I wasn't really expecting to actually like it. The talk was about a more young adult look at the Rangers' personal lives with less of a focus on them being the Rangers, and I wasn't down for that. I want to see the Power Rangers being the Power Rangers. But thus far, and I'm talking about all the way through the current issue, it's really just more focused still on the Rangers being the Rangers, just with more character development and interaction, which I like. We get nice snapshots of each of the Rangers before they actually became the Power Rangers, showing that we'll get to know them on a more personal level, and stuff like the astronauts and, well, the entire character of Matt show us that this isn't just going to be the story that we already know. Issue number 1 gets a 4 out of 5. Issue number 2 has 6 covers, with the variants all focused on Trini. They're all nice, but the 2 that don't focus on Trini just so happen to stand out a little bit more for me. The main cover has the helmetless Rangers sitting on a cliffside with their Zords in the background, and it just looks really awesome. But there's a fried pie variant that I like a little better, the totally unmorphed Rangers walking below a mural of the Rangers matched up person to person, and the style is slightly more anime. I really like it. 97 days before Arrival Day, Kimberly and Matt are on their first date. We see their thoughts, both nervous that they're ruining things. But things get a little bit better when they make it to the carnival. He asks her how she likes Angel Grove so far, which organically lets us know that Kimberly just moved there. She basically says she hates it so far, since all of her friends are 1,000 miles away. He makes a joke about just staying at the carnival all the time since she seems to like it, but her stomach vetoes that idea along with the probably undercooked corn dog she was eating and anything else that happened to be inside at the time. Matt rushes her back to his place, calling it the closest clean bathroom in town, but somehow I doubt that, and she spends the next several minutes puking and apologizing for doing so in his car as well. She's mortified, but he's not swayed, asking her on another date to see what further adventures they can get into. 98 days later, the Rangers are fighting a wave of putties as Rita and her cronies just sort of stand and watch. They debate retreating, even scattering so one of them can call a Zord, but Rita slams her staff down and brings everything to a halt, saying that she just wants to talk. Rita tells the Rangers that Zordon doesn't really care about them, just seeing them as tools in his personal battle with Rita. He doesn't even care about the people of Earth, he just wants to win versus her. Zack is unimpressed, just telling Rita that if Zordon wants to win, then he picked the right team of Rangers. This amuses Rita, but then she makes her offer. The Rangers surrender, the attacks stop. I think I speak for everyone when I say Zwizzix.
Gesundheit.
Alpha teleported the Rangers back to the command center, barely having gotten Trini's signal and then working through Rita's dark magic. The astronauts are now safe at Nasada, though it kind of looks more like they're being experimented on than hospitalized. Jason tells Zordon that Rita knows their names, and he basically goes, "Oh, wow, that's too bad. We'll be sure to keep an eye on that." Unsurprisingly, the Rangers aren't exactly satisfied and want to at least tell their families that they're the Rangers so they can be prepared. However, Zordon says a firm no to that. "The 3 rules of the Ranger were written before man walked the earth. Break them and you forfeit your powers, leaving Earth vulnerable to invasion." I find it interesting that Zordon implies that this transcends him and that these are just the rules for all Power Rangers ever, even though we know that not to be the case. Time for more of that nice character development in pairs. Zack asks Jason if he intended the whole time to go all solo hero after Rita. He plays dumb, but Zack says he would have done exactly the same, he just wouldn't have hidden his intentions. The team will have an easier time guarding his back if they know where his back is. You'd expect the girls to have a chat about things. You would expect Billy and Trini, already seen to be close friends, to have a chat about things. So the surprise here is that it's Billy and Kimberly having that talk. Kim asks Billy about Rita's offer, and he surmises that she wonders if they should have taken it. He says that a peaceful solution would be best, but Rita can't be trusted. Kim realizes that, but feels bad that she made the choice to be a Ranger, but it impacts people around her that didn't get that choice. People like mothers. People like Trini's mother. Trini's mom is getting in her case about having stayed out late, even asking if she's pregnant. Kind of reminded me of that scene from the 2017 movie.
Pee in that cup!
Trini's mom is worried about her, since when they lived on the Air Force Base, Trini was younger and told her mom everything. Trini says her mother can still trust her, but she's gonna have some private things now. Her mom says that's fine, but there are still rules. Sometime later, it seems like a lack of transitions has made its way over here as well. The Rangers are in class when Bulk and Skull walk in late. Another student comments on the door scaring him, and when Mrs. Appleby chides the two for being late, they wonder why class even matters when aliens are destroying the world. Jason stands up and tells Bulk to sit down and shut up, and after reading him for a second, the two sarcastically agree and do so. After class, I promised I wouldn't go on and on about transitions, but now we're jumping ahead time in the middle of a page. Trini sums up her courage to talk to Jason, congratulating him for dealing with Bulk and then asking for his help with a research project. Jason says Billy's the smarter one, but Trini says it's not that kind of project.
What you gonna say?
Kim approaches Matt and it's clear that he's not happy. She says she once read that most fights between couples can be absolved by simply ignoring what happened. Doesn't really seem healthy, but okay. And yeah, he's not in the mood to ignore it after she ditched him twice on the same night. He says that Arrival Day changed things between them, more than he might realize, and he doesn't feel bad for feeling protective. He doesn't hate her for her supposed flakiness, but he just doesn't like her sometimes, and he leaves. Then on the moon, okay, the first frame is Rita looking down at the Earth. I don't suppose a transition is necessary there. Her minions are tripping over themselves with apologies and suggestions, but she shuts them up and tells Finster she needs a new kind of monster. Trini and Jason walk out so far that Jason wonders if they'll need rescuing, but then Trini decides it's far enough. So, what does she need help with?
Most machines of any degree of complexity that we opt to live around are offered to us with an instruction manual.
Second day of being a ranger, and Zordon seems to be no closer to providing the team an instruction manual. Trini would like to know a little something about their powers. Jason asked what she had in mind. Want to beat each other up?
Yes! That's awesome!
The two of them morph, and I'm going to complain about art. Now, I love how it's the drawn Rangers in a classic Inside the Morpher TV show look. And no, I am not upset about the fact that we can see their chests. If you take a look at it, in the original first Mighty Morphin sequence, their chests are actually keyed out, which would allow them to wear different clothes, before the producers decided that they just didn't care about that. So, what has caught my ire about this?
Everyone put your hands up.
Okay, this is going to be really nerdy and even a little, well, actually, of me. But the Mighty Morphin Morpher is grasped by this handle, the button on the side pressed with the right thumb. It's not just held in the two hands. So the fingers on the right hand should be behind the Morpher, grasped around the handle.
Get on with it!
The two of them train, a mixture of fighting each other and just seeing what abilities they have. On top of this, we see a conversation that they have afterwards about how the powers seem to operate on instinct and even download information into their brains. The conversation continues later, Jason saying that the training is a good idea and they should keep doing it. Trini agrees, but says she's going to have to keep lying to her mother, and asks Jason how he does it. But he doesn't really have to, as his parents don't really get involved in his personal life. In the command center, Billy has everything half torn apart when Zack comes to see what he's doing. He seems to be working on the communicators, but Zack came to tell him that he lost track of time and missed a test. Billy goes back to the school, begging Mrs. Appleby for a chance to make up the exam. She says of course he's her favorite student, and she realizes the past few days have been challenging. Making up the test will let him keep his grades up and keep him in the running for that Promethea internship. Yeah, I told you folks that one of the reasons I was cutting back here to Go-Go Power Rangers is that we were going to hit some connecting plot threads. You only have one thing to worry about at your age, Billy. Your grades. Saving the world is someone else's responsibility. 64 days before Arrival Day, So this is 33 days after Kim and Matt started dating, but 66 days before the things we've seen happening in this issue, and...
Alright, let's get started before my headache gets any worse.
The show established from the start that the 5 Rangers were already a group of friends. Well, guess what? They were a group of 5, but not the same 5. Substitute Matt for Kimberly, friends with each of the other 4, and introducing them to his new girlfriend, Kimberly. It does not go well, as it turns out Kimberly has some history with Zach and Trini. We don't know what that is just yet, just that they call Kimberly Salad Girl, and Zach asks if the poor little rich girl is upset. She storms off, and suddenly we see her watching football practice. But we're back 2 days after Arrival Day. And then we change scenes. Okay, whatever. On the moon, Finster is making the monster Rita wanted, but doesn't really like it since he says it lacks a certain creativity. But she says no, quite the opposite. The most terrifying monster is the one you never see coming. The monster is teleported down and looks half putty and half human. I want to word my take on this issue carefully because I can definitely understand people not liking this issue, because it's definitely what I was kind of afraid of when I heard young adult take on the Power Rangers' personal lives. So much of this issue is just talking and emotions and etc. But it's not terrible. Heck, it's not even bad. I really like the training sequence with Jason and Trini, and despite all the talking, there's a lot of plot established that I really like. But yeah, this issue is just really chatty, and there's not a whole lot of action. Issue number 2 gets a 3.5 out of 5. Starting to settle into a pattern with the covers here. 6 covers for issue 3, 4 of them focusing on Zach this time. The 5th is a Fried Pie anime variant. The main cover is awesome though. It's the ultimate food fight. 2 things to note here. 1, Billy is helping 2 nervous putties finally express their love by kissing. And down here you see the incredibly rare flying spaghetti putty. Spuddy-getty? We take the biggest time jump backwards yet, going back a full 6 years before Arrival Day. 2 young kids are playing pretend on a playground. One of them is clearly Billy, blonde, glasses, and a blue shirt. We learn who the other is in the second frame, both in direct statement and a nice subtle backup. Billy calls the kid Eugene, and while for most of us diehard fans that gives it straight away, the imagined pirate ghost they are fighting gives us a subtle statement of it. Yes, this is Skull. The 2 are playing Space Federation or whatever, fighting Captain Cannibal and his zombie ghost pirates, eventually blowing them up with a disc. Skull has a troubled home life as his brothers roll up and tell him there's nothing to eat at home, so they stole some money from their mother and they're getting a pizza, so he better hurry home if he wants any. But apparently the other 2 are friends. Skull says he wishes he didn't have a brother. Anyway, Billy just invites Skull over to his place for dinner since Skull and Bones are best friends. 1 week after Arrival Day, Billy is speaking to Andrea from Promethea. And interestingly enough, Andrea is the name of the assistant that we have seen in the main Mighty Morphin line, so that's a nice touch. Anyway, he has made the final cut of applications and is basically an interview away from getting that vaunted internship. He feels like he flubbed the call with a bad line, and his day just gets worse when he discovers that Bulk and Skull dumped trash in his locker, basically a whole bunch of dirt and sand. Billy says at least it's not lava sand, which references to something he said to Skull as a kid. Bulk dismisses it as a weird geek thing, but Skull gets it and feels bad. The Rangers are hanging out on the bleachers, Zach talking about how the Rangers have an unofficial fan club with hundreds of thousands of followers, but they can't personally benefit from it because they have to protect their identities. Zach and Kim feel like they could stand to have an official social media account. Sorry guys, @PowerRangers is taken. While Trini and Jason know that this is a bad idea. Billy is sort of in the middle, just feeling like he could probably rig up a way the account could be checked on and maintained anonymously. Zach shows Trini that someone on the fan page is pretending to be the Yellow Ranger, auctioning off a date with her that has reached $2,000. She says that's not funny, and then Matt walks up and asks what isn't funny. The Rangers clam up, Zach saying it was one of his jokes, and Billy helpfully adds that it was about boobs.
Bosoms, melons, milk factories, busts, fun bags, knockers, ballistics, boobies, jugs, nipples, jubblies, stonking great.
Anyway, Kim and Matt seem to be on good terms again, agreeing to hang out, along with the others, on Angel Day. Oh, and in case like me, you were momentarily confused about why Zach and Trini weren't still mad at Kim, we're sort of dealing with multiple timescapes now. Remember that was before Arrival Day.
And yesterday just may be tomorrow.
Anyway, they all agree, even Billy, once he can stop stammering about boobs. We see the woman putty from the last issue demanding to know where the Rangers, using their real names, are. She's had the excellent luck to approach a table full of absolute dicks as they just hit on her and then actually throw fries at her. She responds by throwing their table out the window.
10 out of 10.
She can communicate telepathically with Rita, though she speaks out loud. She's failed to find the Rangers so far, but Rita says she's also there to learn about humanity. On the moon, Goldar questions this approach, saying he could just take an army of monsters and go conquer the planet. Rita says he'd just fail and bring their team closer together. Rita then tells a story about her days growing up, and knowing the character she's referring to, I'll insert their names. As a young girl, she wanted a dragon, how fitting, just like the one her older brother Rito Revolto had. However, her father, Master Vile, felt that she was too young for one. So every day when Rito would set out food for his dragon, Rita would steal it. Eventually, the dragon got so hungry that he got loose and bit Rito. The next day, there was no more dragon. Goldar says he would have just killed the dragon, but this is where we get to Rita's point. Kill the pet, and the owner just gets a new pet. Turn the pet and the owner against each other, and both of them are ruined forever. Yes, Goldar, she's talking about the Rangers. Jason and Trini are training again with their weapons this time. Trini complains about her helmet's heads-up display, but Jason says she should just use it to focus. So she sweeps him and then dives on top of him, before getting control of herself. Jason says it's probably time to bring the other Rangers to these sessions, since the entire team needs to improve. Trini feigns concern that it might be too soon for them, in honesty not wanting to lose these little battle dates with Jason. She tries to push it back to just continuing this one, but he begs out, having to go teach an intermediate class at the youth center. Trini says he normally teaches those the first week of the month, not that she's keeping track, of course. He says it is the first week of the month, and for some reason, Trini is shocked and scared by this. Nice little scene here between Matt and Zach tossing the football around on the football field. Matt asks what's going on with the group, why everyone gets all hush-hush and whispers when he walks up. Zach tells him he's being paranoid, which actually isn't true, and says that if he hasn't told anyone that Matt once asked his pencil for help with a math test, he's going to be honest with him, and there are no issues that involve him. Meanwhile, Jason teaches his class at the youth center, dismissing them, when Ernie walks up with some bad news. He's going to have to close the youth center. 6 teachers left town after Arrival Day, and he can't keep the classes staffed. Of course, my main thought here is that the youth center is also a juice bar, a business, but I don't know, maybe that's what he meant. The youth center is closed, but the juice bar stays open. Anyway, he says that it's what he has to do, unless Jason happens to know a group of people willing to stay in Angel Grove and teach classes basically for free. I wonder how hard Jason's going to have to look for those. Time to learn what it was that Trini was so upset about. It turns out that she forgot her mother's birthday, and not like, oh no, it's today, it was last week. Her dad also forgot, which I would imagine would be the bigger problem in the house, but it's more personal for Trini. Her mom has told Trini a number of times about a rock garden she and her mother had, and Trini feels like her mom wants that kind of connection with her daughter. Trini has made new friends quickly in Angel Grove, but her mother doesn't have that. It's kind of a nice humanizing moment. Cut to Angel Day. Angel Day is basically a day all students in the area get out of school in exchange for volunteer cleanup efforts. Zach, Jason, and Matt are painting a building while discussing how cool it would be not to go to class and just do work like this, and hey, maybe get paid a little bit too. As Jason points out, that's called a job. Ernie brings over some smoothies and gets to show off his new Mighty Morphin Yellow Ranger cup. It turns out Angel Day was Trini's idea, so she's getting interviewed by a reporter along with Billy. But then Bulk and Skull throw a shovel of dirt onto Billy. The other Rangers have had just about enough of this, Trini telling them off. Billy insults them in a nerdy way, and when Bulk goes to make him pay the price, Jason grabs his shovel and then shoves Bulk to the ground, saying that he's done picking on Billy. The two are about to throw down when Principal Kaplan comes over and lays down the word. He tells Bulk that he's done picking on other kids just to hide how terrified he is. And Jason may be a fine student, but he's not the law. No enforcing morality with your fists. He leads the two away to divert their energy to something else. This leads to a rare moment as Skull is alone with Billy. He tries to play off their bullying, saying it's just messing around. Billy says they make his life hell, and for what? Being smarter? Skull says no. It's for acting smarter. Putty Monster Lady shows up. She hasn't been given a name, so in honor of one of my cats whose personality she sort of matches, I'm going to call her Sassy. Sassy approaches the work area, commenting how odd it is that the humans rebuild the damage, knowing that Rita will just wreck it again. She hears Ernie hawking Power Ranger smoothies and heads over. It wasn't just cute designs, actually. These are really Power Rangers cups for smoothies of each flavor matching the colors. I'll have an orange one, Ernie. You got an orange one? You got an Orange Ranger smoothie there, Ernie? Anyway, she of course doesn't want a smoothie, just info on the Rangers. When she says they have to be there somewhere, he agrees that they've got to be locals as hard as they fought for the city. And that's all Sassy needed to know. She tells Rita that the Rangers are somewhere nearby, and it's time for an attack to draw them out. The Putties then participate in a little orbital skydiving, seemingly just falling directly from the moon. Kim is stuck with Matt and Jason with Bulk and Principal Kaplan, but Billy and Trini are still alone, and for whatever reason, Zach is suddenly with them instead of with Matt's group, so they morph. The cops are no match, obviously, but the Rangers leap in and start taking care of business. Nice little note here as Zach and Billy are still nervous about the battle, but Trini, who has been training, is feeling prepared and even excited to use her new skills. Principal Kaplan ushers his group into a storefront to hide. Jason starts to pull the "I'll go get some help" gambit, but guess what? That probably wouldn't work in real life. Kaplan tells him to stay put, quiet, and safe. Mean style, Kim and Matt are running, also as she tries to ditch him in the same way, but he won't let her out of his sight. They then run into a somewhat giant monster, not Zord-sized, but easily 10 or 11 feet tall. The monster comes after them specifically, which Matt wonders about, and I actually wonder about too, because even if this is Sassy, she doesn't know who Kim is. They get knocked down, but Matt gets up again. You're never going to keep him down. Kim either gets hurt or fakes getting hurt to try and make Matt leave. But instead, he stands tall like a hero and defends his girl. And this mind-blowingly chivalrous and brave act gets him the reward of getting tail whipped through a wall. Kim chases after him, finding him unconscious and realizing that she doesn't know what to do. At this point, I think I could safely say that Go-Go Power Rangers is off to a slow start. A lot of that is deliberate pacing. We're 3 issues in, and we've advanced the story forward a whole 7 days to the Rangers' 3rd fight. We've seen more of Matt than we have of Rita, and who is Matt? Issue 3 was a lot like Issue 2. Not much action, just a lot more character development. The stuff between Skull and Bones, Skull and Billy, was interesting and a new take on the story of the series, and I'm sure it's something they're going to touch on more as things go on. And hey, I can tell you that GGPR is great now, current issue. I guess it was just something of a slow boil. Issue number 3 gets a 3.5 out of 5. Is Matt alive? Can Billy and Skull resume the skull and bones friendship of their childhood? Are Jason and Bulk going to beat the crap out of each other? Does Principal Kaplan have his infamous toupee this early on? Surely some of those questions will be answered next time as I take a look at Go-Go Power Rangers issues number 4, 5, and 6. That's going to do it for another Comically Long review. Thank you, heroes, so much as always for watching. In the comments below, let me know what you thought of these issues as well as my review of them. And while you're down there, make sure you smack that thumbs up button. Let me know that you liked this video. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel to see my videos and ring the bell. Get your notifications set up so you'll be notified of whenever I post brand new videos like these Comically Long reviews. And if you'd like to lend any financial support to my channel, deeply appreciated now that it's demonetized, there are 2 ways that you can do so. Head over to ko-fi.com/OrangeRangerVideos to buy me a coffee. Those are set at $3 a piece. I greatly appreciate that. But if you'd like to donate a different amount, less than $3 or more than that, but not $6, however much you want to donate, that can be done over at digitaltipjar.com/OrangeRangerVid. Until next time, heroes, may the power protect you. It's not a big stretch to think, besides the general of wow. We're going to jump around in time and answer questions I've always had, but ones they talk about what's going to do, they should do to do, they do. They talk about what's going on. Oh, I wrote that bad. They talk about what's going on, what they should do. He asked some... Trini calls her mom, right? Some of you might have noticed last week when I did that cover that the sign... They also realized that Jason... She says once... He says that after Arrival Day, on top of that, we see a conversation they have afterwards about, yeah, it's funny, the words were said right, but the tone it changes the meaning. In the command center, Billy has everything half torn apart when I check to see if that was a page, and stay in the running for that Promethea scholarship. And it's actually an internship, so 64 days before Arrival Day, so this is 33 days after 1 week after Arrival Day. Paige, Zach and Kim feel like they should stand to have the Rangers clam up, saying it was why everyone gets all hush hush and whispers when he wakes up. I need to wrap hands around my throat and strangle myself. But he says if he hasn't told anyone that Matt Matt asks what's going on with the group, why everyone gets all hush hush, and this mind-blowingly chivalrous and brave chivalrous. At this point, I could think. That's for sure. I'm sure they're going to touch on that more as I do this take again. Surely some of those questions will be answered next week as I take a look at Go-Go Power Rangers, not next week either. That is going to do it for a Comically Long review. Wow, even the outro. And while you're down there, you can comment on what you thought of this issue. Oh, God.